I'm going to say something right at the beginning, and I want you to really think about it. If what I'm about to tell you is even partially true, then we are not just watching another news story unfold. We are witnessing a moment that could quietly reshape global power in ways most people won't even realize until it's too late. Because just minutes ago, I came across a claim that made me stop everything. Iran has struck a US aircraft carrier using Ghadir missiles. Now listen, I know how that sounds. It sounds extreme. It sounds unbelievable. It sounds like one of those headlines designed to shock you, pull you in, and then fall apart the moment you look deeper. And I'll be honest with you, that's exactly what I thought at first. I almost ignored it. But something about it didn't sit right with me. So instead of scrolling past, I decided to dig. And what I discovered didn't give me clear answers. It gave me more questions. And those questions are far more dangerous than the headline itself. Because here's the thing no one tells you right away. In modern conflicts, the truth is never simple. It's layered, it's controlled, and sometimes what you're seeing on the surface is just a fraction of what's really happening behind the scenes. So I started asking myself, did this actually happen? Was a US aircraft carrier really targeted? Or are we looking at something else entirely? Something more calculated, more strategic? Because before we jump to conclusions, we need to understand what we're actually talking about here. A US aircraft carrier is not just a ship. It's not just a military asset. It is one of the most powerful symbols of dominance on this planet. We're talking about a floating city, carrying thousands of personnel, equipped with advanced fighter jets, surrounded by layers of defense systems designed to detect and destroy threats before they even come close. So the idea that something could reach it, touch it, or even threaten it, that alone changes the conversation. And that's when I started looking into the weapon being mentioned, the Ghadir missile. Now this is where things get serious, because this is not just some random missile. This is a specialized anti-ship cruise missile designed specifically to target naval vessels. It has range, it has precision, and more importantly, it's built for scenarios exactly like this. So now we have two pieces of the puzzle, a highly protected target and a weapon designed to challenge that protection. And when those two things come together, you don't ignore it. You pay attention. But here's where things started to get complicated, because as I dug deeper, I noticed something strange. There was no clear confirmation, no solid evidence, just fragments of information, different versions of the same story. Some saying the carrier was hit, some saying it was a near miss, some saying it never happened at all. And that's when I realized, this isn't just about an attack. This is about perception. Because in today's world, perception can be just as powerful as reality. If people believe that a US carrier can be targeted, then that belief alone shifts power. It creates doubt, it creates tension, it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the most powerful tools in modern warfare. So I took a step back, and I asked myself a bigger question. What if this wasn't about destruction? What if this was about sending a message? Because think about it. If you wanted to show strength, to demonstrate capability, to tell your opponent, we can reach you, you don't necessarily need to destroy anything. You just need to prove that you can. And suddenly, everything starts to look different. Because now we're not just talking about a missile, we're talking about strategy, long-term strategy, calculated moves, signals being sent across the global stage. And once you start looking at it that way, the situation becomes a lot more intense. Because this didn't start today, this didn't happen out of nowhere. This has been building, quietly, slowly, under the surface. Tensions in the region have been rising for a long time. Military movements, naval deployments, strategic positioning. Every move, every warning, every response. It's like a build-up that most people didn't notice, until now. And when these kinds of build-ups reach a certain point, all it takes is one moment, one event, one trigger, and everything shifts. But here's the part that really caught my attention. How could something like this even happen? Because let's be realistic, a US carrier group is not easy to surprise. It operates with layers of defense, advanced radar systems, escort ships, air patrols, constant surveillance. So for any kind of threat to even get close, there has to be a plan. And when I started looking into possible strategies, things became even more interesting. Because Iran doesn't rely on traditional one-on-one confrontation, instead, it uses something very different: asymmetric tactics, which basically means instead of matching power directly, you create situations where your opponent's strengths become harder to use. You create confusion, you create pressure, you create multiple threats at once. Imagine this scenario. You're in open water. Everything is being monitored. Everything seems under control. And then suddenly, multiple signals appear at the same time: missiles, drones, decoys, electronic interference. Now your defense systems are not dealing with one threat, they're dealing with many, simultaneously. And in that moment, even the most advanced systems are being tested. That's the kind of strategy that changes the game. Not by overpowering, but by overwhelming. And even if nothing actually hits, the message is still delivered. We can challenge you. And that message alone can have massive consequences. Because once that idea enters the minds of decision makers, everything changes. Strategies change, positions change, responses change. And that's exactly what we started seeing. Reactions, fast reactions. Analysts began discussing the possibility. Experts started debating the implications. Social media exploded with theories, opinions, arguments. Some people were convinced this was a direct strike. Others said it was impossible, and many were caught in the middle, unsure of what to believe. But that's the power of uncertainty. It pulls everyone in. It forces attention. It keeps people watching. And while all of this was happening, I kept thinking about one thing. What if this is only the beginning? Because events like this, whether confirmed or not, they don't just disappear. They evolve. They lead to something else. Another move, another response, another escalation. And that's where things become unpredictable. Because now we're not just looking at one moment, we're looking at a chain reaction, and the effects are already being felt. Markets start reacting. Oil prices feel the pressure. Shipping routes become more tense. Military readiness levels increase. And suddenly, something that started as a headline becomes a global concern. And this is where the story shifts from being shocking to being serious. Because this is no longer about whether a missile hit or not. This is about what the possibility represents. A shift in confidence, a shift in perception, a shift in how power is understood. And once that shift happens, it doesn't just go away. It stays. It influences decisions. It shapes the future. And that's why I believe this moment matters, regardless of the exact details, because it forces a question that no one can ignore. Are we entering a new phase of conflict, a phase where direct confrontation is replaced by strategic signaling, where uncertainty is used as a weapon, where the real battle isn't just physical, but psychological? Because if that's the case, then what we're seeing right now is just the surface, and the real story is still unfolding. So now I want to ask you something. After everything we've just gone through, after looking at this from every angle, what do you think is really happening here? Was this a real strike, a near miss, a warning, or something even more complex? Because one thing is clear, this situation is not simple. It's layered, it's evolving, and it's far from over. And if there's one thing I've learned from moments like this, it's that the biggest developments are usually the ones people don't fully understand at first. So stay alert, stay aware, and most importantly, keep asking questions, because the next move might already be in motion. And when it happens, it could change everything.